Radio Corporation of America presents The Magic Key. The magic key of RCA turns, and the family of RCA cordially welcome the families of the nation to an hour of music featuring Leopold Stokowski, director of the Philadelphia Orchestra, the celebrated Wagnerian tenor Lauritz Melchior, the distinguished American violinist Albert Spaulding, the popular young baritone Conrad Thibault, Carlos Salcedo, the world's great instrumentalist and one of the world's greatest harpists, and the ever-popular Victor Light Opera Company. The members of the family of RCA, RCA Communications, RCA Victor, RCA Radiotron, Radio Marine, RCA Institute, and the National Broadcasting Company unite today in presenting to the world the Victor Library of Recorded Music and the RCA Victor D-22. First, Frank Black, Director of Music for the National Broadcasting Company, leads the NBC Symphony Orchestra in the Dance of the Russian Sailors from Glier's ballet, The Red Poppy. The magic key of RCA turns to a young American baritone of ever-increasing popularity. The weekly radio appearances of Conrad Thibault have made his name a household word from coast to coast, and his Victor records have served to emphasize his sterling musicianship. This afternoon we present Mr. Thibault in serious vein. He greets us with a robust Toreador song from Carmen.
Señor, car avec les soldats. Oui, les toreros que veulent s'entendre, pour plaisir, ils veulent les combats. Le cirque est plat des jours de fête, le cirque est plat du haut en bas. Les spectateurs perdent la tête, les spectateurs s'interpellent à grand fracas. Apostrophe, cris et tapage, poussés jusque à la fureur, car c'est la fête du courage, c'est la fête des chants de cœur. Allons, attaque, allons. Toréador, et songe bien, oui, songe en combattant, que l'œil noir te regarde, et que l'amour t'attend. Toréador, l'amour t'attend. Toréador,
Conrad Thibault offers as an encore one of his most recent Victor recordings, the classic Where'er You Walk by Handel. The harp is among the most ancient of all modern instruments. And today, members of the family of RCA welcome as their guest and yours the greatest living exponent of the harp, Carlos Salcedo. In addition to being an incomparable harpist, Mr. Salcedo is one of the more progressive composers of our time. This afternoon, he will play a group of 4 numbers chosen from his 15 short stories in music for harp solo. The first story is entitled Behind the Barracks. It depicts a juvenile military drill and ends with a bugle call. Night Breeze is the title of the next story. The next and last short story in music is Skipping Rope. In this story, one could easily suspect the composer of having thoroughly studied children skipping ropes in the most intricate jumps. It contains 30 different rhythmical patterns. If you were to ask the people of America what Philadelphia is famous for, I am sure that among the first 5 things mentioned would be the Philadelphia Orchestra conducted by Leopold Stokowski. Mr. Stokowski's great interest in life is to bring good music to all the people. He was among the first to recognize the value of radio in bringing to the humblest home the works of the great composers as performed by the world's greatest artists. He has always been keenly interested in recorded music. RCA has invited Mr. Stokowski to this program today to formally present to the American people and to the world a new venture in the field of music. The magic key of RCA turns to Philadelphia and Mr. Stokowski.
To those of you who, like myself, live part of the time or all of the time in a remote place out in the country, recorded music is a wonderful way of hearing just exactly the kind of music we wish to hear at the moment when we are in the mood to listen to it. There come times in our lives when all of us who love music are in love with some particular piece of music. It is going through our minds all the time, and we cannot hear it often enough. Through phonograph records, we are able to hear it over and over again until we can fully penetrate into the depth of the music. We who make music our profession and have given our whole life to its study have daily and hourly opportunity of listening to and playing all kinds of music, and through this experience, the opportunity of developing the power of discriminating between the music that has a vivid appeal when first heard but becomes less interesting with each repetition, and the music which, because of its depth and the sincerity of its feeling, seems to be greater each time it is heard. It is intensely interesting to notice that the great music-loving public, in the long run, comes to much the same conclusion that we professional musicians do regarding the lasting quality of truly inspired and deeply felt music. But there are thousands who love music and who would like to have a more intimate experience of it, who do not have the time and opportunity. About 2 years ago, I was talking of this with my friend Charles O'Connell, one of the conductors of the Victor Company. He suggested that a library of recorded music, chosen by musicians of wide and varied experience, would fill such a cultural need. I urged Mr. O'Connell to develop such a library, because it seemed to me that a collection of this kind would save the music lovers months of searching by giving him at once a library of records of the world's musical masterworks. I'm happy to say that this project has been realized, and that the selection has been made by a group of musicians of such varied personalities and experience as Geraldine Farrar, Walter Damrosch, Richard Gilbert, Jascha Heifetz, Fritz Kreisler, Charles O'Connell, Eugene Ormandy, Sergei Rachmaninov, John Royal, Warren Story Smith, Deems Taylor, and Paul Whiteman. This group has given much time and thought to the selection of this library, which represents not only the most inspired works of the greatest musical creators, but the outstanding performances of artists in every field of music. This collection seems to me to be a valuable contribution to our cultural life. Of course, there are such acute economic problems in the world today that sometimes it seems that to speak of cultural life in the face of such grave difficulties is something ridiculous and impertinent. But there is one aspect of everything cultural that is a necessity, and that is recreation. For all of us after we have been working hard, or during the time that we are oppressed by care and worry and unhappiness. The almost unbearable tension of our mind and the weight pressing down on our spirit can greatly be relieved by recreation, and I believe that music will always play a great part in this, no matter how much changed other conditions may become. For this reason, I feel that good music, well recorded, is a thing of great value to each one of us personally, and is a part of the national wealth of our country.
Thank you, Mr. Stokowski. Your friends and our friends will be glad to know that the Philadelphia Orchestra, under your direction, will be heard on this program Sunday, December 8th. The magic key of RCA turns to Frank Black and the NBC Symphony Orchestra, offering two excerpts from orchestral works typical of the Victor Library of Recorded Music. First, the introduction to the majestic and inspiring First Symphony of Brahms. And now the fiery finale to the Tchaikovsky Fourth, proud with national spirit. The engineering organization of RCA Victor soon realized that in order to do justice to the magnificent new Victor library of recorded music, a new, higher standard of sound reproduction would have to be found. In view of the high state of perfection which RCA Victor radio phonograph had already obtained, this was a task before which many would have quailed. Nevertheless, the company was determined to outdo all previous efforts and to produce, if possible, an instrument of truly epoch-making proportions. And so, deliberately and with forethought, there was brought into being a super instrument which we call the D-22, a designation signifying a deluxe radio phonograph employing 22 radio tubes. From an equipment standpoint, the D-22 is the most complete and satisfying musical instrument the world has ever heard. But from a tonal point of view, and this is the real test, it marks the coming of a new and better era. To listen to a record on the RCA Victor D-22 is to be aware of something more than soul-satisfying sound. It is to feel the actual presence of the performer in the room. It will meet your highest expectations. The magic key of RCA turns to the Victor Light Opera Company, presenting favorite melodies by Victor Herbert. The magic key of RCA turns to another featured artist of the Victor Library in the person of Albert Spaulding. Standing in the front rank of the violinists of the world, this prominent American artist requires no introduction to the radio audience. Mr. Spaulding plays the Romance from the Concerto No. 2 in D minor by Henri Wieniawski. Page around the world for his Wagnerian interpretations is Lauritz Melchior, tenor of the Metropolitan Opera Company. Critics generally regard Mr. Melchior as one of the historically great interpreters of the role of Tristan, and he comes to us today fresh from added triumph won during the presentation of the Ring Cycle in San Francisco. The magic key of RCA turns to Lauritz Melchior singing Träume, Dreams by Richard Wagner.
ihrer Himmelskunde, 10 Licht will ihrer Schau, 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 10 Licht
And now, Lauritz Melchior brings us a famous excerpt from the second act of Die Walküre, the Spring Song.
Wiegen dem Wonnemond, im milden Lichte leuchtet der Lenz, auf linden Lüften leicht und lieblich, unterwebend sich wiegt, durch Wald und Auen weht sein Atem, weit geöffnet lacht sein Auge, und Silbervöglein farmes sollte Füchse aufgerollt, deinen warmen Blut entfliehen sonnige Blumen, Keim und Spross entspringt ein Kraft. Mit scharfer Waffe dir bezwingt die Welt, Wind und Sturm mit der starken Wehr, voll musste den tapfern Streiten sich strenge Tür aufreißen, wie trotzig und starr und brennte vor ihm.
Today will be a memorable day in the history of music. For today, RCA has presented two notable achievements, the Victor Library of Recorded Music and the RCA Victor Radio Phonograph D22. The list of artists represented in the Victor Library reads like a musical who's who of 1935. Yet it includes nearly every eminent name of the past quarter century. The list of composers represents the highest creative talent of the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. Thus, the Victor Library is virtually a product of the loftiest minds in music's Hall of Fame. A summary of those includes 153 composers, 13 symphony orchestras, 38 conductors, 37 vocalists, 9 pianists, 1 violoncellist, 1 string bass virtuoso, 1 harpsichordist, 1 guitarist, 2 opera companies, 2 salon orchestras, 13 dance orchestras, 2 string quartets, 2 organists, 4 violinists, and 2 bands. The records are contained in 94 beautifully bound albums. These, in turn, are housed in an exquisite cabinet. All records are made by the electrical recording process. Together with a marvelous new RCA Victor D22 radio phonograph, the Victor Library of Recorded Music brings the musical riches of the ages into your home. To the playing of the Dance of the Archers from the Polovetian Dances of Prince Igor by the NBC Symphony Orchestra, the magic key of RCA turns, bringing this special program to a close. The Victor Library of Recorded Music and the RCA Victor D22, to which this hour has been dedicated, may be seen at leading music stores. Write to RCA Victor at Camden, New Jersey, for the name of the store nearest you. To have the privilege of being your guest again at this time next Sunday, when the members of the family of RCA will present the famed soprano Lotte Lehmann, Helen Chandler in scenes from the New York stage hit Pride and Prejudice, Xavier Cugat and his Victor Recording Orchestra, Herbert Ernst Groh, European musical comedy sensation, the Royal Hawaiian Band, John B. Kennedy in a special news feature, and Frank Black in the NBC Symphony Orchestra.
Romany Life from The Fortune Teller by Victor Herbert was heard on this program. This is the National Broadcasting Company.